Hi, this is Claire from Verity Papery, and in this video I'm going to show you how to watercolor a hummingbird. So I watercolored this card for a Hero Arts My Monthly Hero blog hop a couple weeks ago, and I actually had made this card first and watercolored this hummingbird, and it's a little bit different than the first one, so I filmed it, and instead of letting that film go to waste, I figured I might as well make a quick little video of it showing you how I did this hummingbird. So I've already heat embossed my bird and flower, and now I'm just laying down a light wash of water. I have 2 cups here. I have 1 cup that I'm using to rinse out my paintbrush whenever I already have a color on it, and then I'm using the pink cup for clean water. At least in theory that's what I was supposed to use it for, but sometimes I wasn't paying attention and I would confuse the cups. But anyway, I'm laying down a little bit of this rusty brownish color. I'll have the colors listed on the blog. I don't know what the numbers are offhand. And I'm using the paintbrush to add a little more pigment here and there, and then also to color in the beak. And then I'll dip the paintbrush in water a little bit later to kind of spread things around. Then I'm going in with this green color, and I'm adding it to pretty much the entire body except for the little tummy there, which we already colored. And I'm adding more of this green, more pigment. I'm laying more pigment down near the back of the bird and where the wing starts, and then the top of its head. Anywhere I think there should be a little more shading or a little more coloring. Especially the stamp has some like details in the body where, you know, there'd be feathers. So I just usually add a little more pigment there to kind of help them stand out a little bit more. You can see I'm also brushing, I'm wiping my brush across the bottom of the Bristol cardstock because sometimes I just want to test out the swatch real quick, and sometimes I want to get some of the pigment off, make it not be quite so powerful, but I don't want to rinse off my brush in the water. So I add a little bit of that green just to the very base of those wings where I started the rusty color. I didn't want it to be just a rusty color. I wanted to bring a little bit of that green in. So I just added a teeny bit of pigment and then added some water to spread it out. Now I'm using the darker green to add some more shadows, again in those little embossed feather little detail areas, and then anywhere I think there should be shading. So one of the things I like about watercoloring is as long as you're not crazy, like as long as you have the right amount of water, it kind of does the blending for you. So I've never ever used Copics or any kind of alcohol markers. I've pretty much always used water-based coloring mediums, and I really like them because if you just add water, the water will do most of the blending for you. So again, with this flower, I'm adding a little bit of green. I actually only added the pigment to 1 flower, and then I kind of drew the pigment from that petal. I drew it from that petal and added it to all the other petals. That's just how little pigment I needed to color these the leaves. I don't know why I keep calling them petals. And because I wanted the green to match the bird, but I didn't want it to be super obvious that I had used the exact same color. So I just lightened it up by, mostly using water and just a little bit of pigment. I finished off the flower with some red. I wanted it to be not quite so red. I want a little pinkish in there, so I added a little bit of a pinkish red that I also had on hand. And if you let the water pool, sometimes you can get a kind of a stained glass look. It really depends. Again, it's one of the things I like about watercolor is that you can paint the same thing over and over again, and you'll get slightly different looks depending on how you add your pigment, how the water spreads. It's really, I just think it's really neat. So I finished off the flower by coloring in the little, I don't know, maybe it's a stem for the flower. I colored it in using a very light wash, that kind of rusty brown. So to show you what I mean about this difference in variation, here are some hummingbirds that I had painted for some retailers. So I did about, I don't know, maybe 10 of them. And there's a lot of different variations just among these little guys. So some of the tummies, I think that's where it was easiest for me to tell. Some of the tummies were more rusty looking. Some of them were lighter. Some of them I let the green come in more. And sometimes I thought it was really cool. Some of them have kind of a more blended look, and then some of them you can really tell where the water line dried. So it was just really fun playing around with them and getting different looks. And then even among the flowers, some of them have slightly different looks. So just play around and see what you like best. If you want to see how I did the rest of the card, it was made pretty much the same way as this card, except the colors are a little bit different. And I did film this card from start to finish, and I will link to that. And I'll have all the different supplies, the different colors and everything else. I'll have them listed on my blog and in the YouTube description. So thanks so much for watching and have a great day. God bless.